I often say there is no loyalty in the woke movement. Doesn't matter how many times you clean the filthy showers after Woke Bath Wednesday. Doesn't matter how many men you refer to using she, her pronouns or they, it pronouns. Deacons at Woke United Methodist, they don't care how many ounces of preparation H you have put into the collection plate. Now, I know you guys have never attended services at Woke United Methodist. I have been to a couple of them for purposes of research. Although they do accept money in the collection plate, the deacons, they prefer the preparation H. They can never have enough. It does not matter how many times you spank the wanker pretending to be excited while staring at the latest issue of Pronoun, which features a bikini-wearing Rachel Levine as the centerfold. None of your past contributions matter. The only thing the deacons care about is what have you done for me lately? What is your use today? Once you are no longer useful to the cause, once you have violated the woke commandments to the point where your career is no longer salvageable, they turn their back on you. They toss you out like yesterday's trash, sentencing you to a lifetime of accommodations in the WNBA dump. Unfortunately for Don Lemon, he is learning this lesson the hard way. For many years now, Donnie has been a loyal comrade, a loyal parishioner at Woke United Methodist. He's donated his money, he's donated his time, he has used his platform on CNN to preach the good word, spread the good news. During the Trump administration, Donnie was on top of the world. He and his partner in bongo, Chris Cuomo, hey, it's me, Chrissy C. They were dominating the ratings in prime time. They had influence. Donnie and Chrissy, they played a pivotal role in turning the country against Donald Trump. It was effective. It worked. The audience on both Fox and MSNBC, it tends to skew a bit older. People who watch those networks typically fall between the ages of 65 and 70. Donnie was able to attract a younger audience with his fresh lemons. CNN was dominating the 25 to 54 demo. Now you would think, with all the great work that Don was able to achieve, he would be given a little bit of leeway. He would be shown a little bit of grace. Grace is not given when you commit the unforgivable sin. Problem for Donnie, he committed the unforgivable sin twice. When it's convenient for a shitfuck, when this particular violation can be used to fit their narrative, you are not allowed to criticize a woman. Now, in most cases, this only applies to woke women, but deacons, they reserve the right to enforce this law with normal women too, as long as it fits the agenda. Earlier this afternoon, Radar Online published another inside report about what's going on behind the scenes at CNN. Radar Online, they must have one hell of an inside source at CNN because they seem to be the first to break these kinds of stories. The tension has reached an all-time high on the set of CNN This Morning. Well, KC, what in the hell is CNN This Morning? CNN This Morning is Don Lemon's latest show, which obviously airs in the morning. Due to reasons of diversity and inclusion, Donnie is forced to share the set with Poppy Harlow and Kaitlin Collins, or as they are known here on the channel, the Poppy and Don Collins. And sometimes I refer to Don Collins as Katie Rue. Anyway, there are two reasons tensions have reached an all-time high on set. Number one, back in December, Don Lemon chastised Katie Rue because she kept interrupting him live on the air. Katie was under the impression that she was the star of the show instead of the help. Don Lemon, he kind of brutally reminded her of her role. Now, of course, this was no bueno. As a man, or in this case, as a lemon, you are not allowed to level up the octaves when speaking to a woman. Now, the second reason tensions are high is because Don Lemon told the truth when he said Nikki Haley was past her prime years. Now, I'm not going into any further detail on that story again. If you want the full story, you can find those videos in the archive here on YouTube. It's one thing for there to be tension on set. There are plenty of shows on television where on-air personalities don't get along. There is tension between Shay Shay and Skippy Bebe on Undisputedly Woke. Yet somehow they manage to come to work every day and produce highly unentertaining garbage. Plenty of shows deal with tension, but it's another thing altogether when that tension is being used to eliminate someone's woke welfare. According to Radar Online, That is exactly what is happening behind the scenes at CNN. There is a movement at CNN. It's not the woke movement. That's not the only movement at CNN. There is another movement at CNN to get Don Lemon fired. And the two birthing persons leading this movement are his so-called friends, Don Jr. and the Poppy Harlow. Katie Rue has joined forces with the Poppy. Their bond is stronger than ever. Here is a direct quote from the Radar Online article. There is a lot to be said about the strength of two women who have risen through the ranks. It's not like they don't like Don. They do! And they don't find him entirely offensive, but they realize the power of their positions. Let me translate that for you. Poppy Harlow, Kaitlin Collins, they want this to be their show. Now, this is just speculation on my part, but it seems to me, and I think this is more true of Kaitlin Collins than Poppy Harlow, I think Poppy Harlow is just along for the ride. Kaitlin Collins, though, she sees this as her opportunity. She knows she will never be the star of the show with Don Lemon sitting between her and the Poppy. She probably has revenge in her mind too, since Donnie humiliated her back in December when he verbally slapped her around with his lemons. Katie Rue, she only likes lemons when they're used for purposes of pleasure. If Don Lemon were to be fired, Kaitlin Collins, she would be the star of the show in her own mind. CNN probably doesn't give the leading role to Poppy Harlow. She's older, as Don Lemon would say. She's past her prime. Kaitlin Collins is young. She's in her early 30s. This is her chance to become the next big star in cable news. But there's just a couple of problems with Kaitlin Collins' master plan. One, she's working at CNN, the network allergic to star power. And two, Kaitlin Collins is not a star. Say what you want about Don Lemon. I'm sure most of you guys can't stand him. Hell, I don't like Don Lemon, but you can't deny his star power. In terms of ratings, February, the worst month at CNN in 11 years. It ranks third as the least watched month at CNN since 2001. Remember how I told you guys last month if ratings continued in the pooper for CNN this morning that Don Lemon would shoulder most of the blame or all the blame? Obviously, he shoulders the blame. He's the star of the show. When Brianna Keilar wasn't drawing ratings in morning television, CNN itself carried most of the blame. Why? Because Brianna Keilar ain't a star. If this show fails, it will be blamed on Don Lemon, but that is not the only blame being placed on Donnie. He is also being blamed for the tanking of the entire network. If Don Lemon were not a gay black man, he would have been fired already. Last month, instead of firing the Lemon, CNN forced him into sensitivity training. We wanted to give Don the opportunity to learn how to get along with the other fruits and vegetables. Apparently, the only thing he learned at sensitivity training was how to be a victim. According to CNN insiders, Don has been moping around the studio the last few weeks, claiming he is the one who has been wronged. Now, I would not classify Don Lemon as a victim, but I don't doubt that he is being wrongly ostracized. Executives at CNN, they are taking the side of Poppy Harlow and Kaitlin Collins instead of Don Lemon, which, from a pure business perspective, is absolutely ridiculous. You don't ostracize the star of the show to cater to the feelings of the co-stars. And I am being nice when I call them co-stars. You could combine the star power of Poppy and Katie Rue, and they wouldn't reach the level of a wet fart. When Don Lemon returned to CNN this morning last month, ratings went up 11%. Now don't get too excited, Donnie. Don't get too excited here. Ratings simply increased from nothing to almost nothing, but it was still an increase nonetheless. At a network desperate for star power, why would CNN even consider getting rid of their only star? It doesn't make any sense. They can't find anyone willing to work at this dump. Chris Cuomo's primetime slot been empty for 18 months. They've reached out to Bill Maher, Jon Stewart. They were even desperate enough to reach out to Travis Noah. CNN is on pace to destroy the record low ratings they set last year. And Chris Light thinks the answer to his ratings problem is firing the only star at the network? Don Lemon finds himself in a tough spot. I have no sympathy for him because he put himself in this situation, but he's in a tough spot. He sold his credibility for a 3 or 4 year spike in ratings. He allowed himself to be injected and diagnosed with OMB, Orange Man Bad. And it worked, temporarily. But now Don Lemon is screwed. If he gets fired from CNN, where does he go? Where does he go? MSNBC? They already have a spreader of mythical racism. You are not going to spread fake racism better than Joy Reid. Fox News would never hire Don Lemon for obvious reasons. I guess he could join his former butt bongo partner Chris Cuomo at News Nation, but other than an easy paycheck, what would be the point in that? Don Lemon can be irrelevant all by himself. He doesn't need News Nation for that. The mainstream media career of Don Lemon has been on life support for the better part of a year, but now it's getting close to the point of being over. I don't think Don Lemon makes it through the summer collecting woke welfare from CNN. Too much has happened. The perception of him is too negative. Every week. Every single week, sometimes multiple times in the same week, stories are being leaked to the media about Don Lemon. You think that's accidental? There is a push to remove the rotten lemons from CNN. The problem for Chris Light, you don't have anyone to replace him. Who else at CNN has the ability to generate headlines other than Don Lemon? To be perfectly honest with you, I think being fired by CNN would be the best thing to happen to Donnie, because then he could go out on his own, create his own platform without the constraints of following the woke commandments. We would get to see the real Don Lemon, a guy we haven't seen in almost a decade. The question is, would people be willing to give him a chance? I don't think so. He has fucked up his credibility so bad, I don't think his career can be saved. He'll find himself in the woke cemetery. He'll be another ingredient in the shit sandwich. You have Brian Stelter providing the breaded donuts. Chris Cuomo provides the meat, topped off with a little taste of lemon. But let me know what you think. Is Don Lemon on the verge of being fired by CNN? I don't think he makes it through the summer. What about you? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, kc_btl84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.